I am the rock goddess Dawn Dyer, and I am on the phone right now with Dan from My Demons Galore that I happened upon. Say hello, introduce yourself.
Hello, this is Dan from My Demons Galore, the vocal power behind the band.
Awesome. So you guys have been together for a little bit now. You want to tell everybody a little bit about what to expect out of your music and how long you guys been together?
Sure thing. We've been together for a little over 3 years at this point, more or less. Myself and guitarist Gene, we started this band together with the idea of, let's try to sort of conquer the world with this project and make it or break it, just like many bands do. We are still, on that journey, still trying to fight the good fight every day. It's been challenging, and there have been some ups and downs on that journey. As a matter of fact, Gene and our bassist Nick are no longer part of the band. So the only remaining members are myself and Serge, who's the drummer. So we just recently, quote unquote, hired another guitar guy. And it's just the three of us at the moment, but we're still very much continuing to do the same thing.
Oh, it happens. It's amazing how a lot of times you run across people that think that things should just poof happen like magic.
Yep.
So you guys have played in 3 years. You guys have probably played a whole bunch of shows. Yeah.
We've played a lot. We started playing very small venues, and obviously you can imagine being a local band. There's not a lot of exposure that you get, starting this thing, and you obviously have to sort of gain and fight for every single fan that you get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been at the local level, New York City level. We played in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens. So pretty much all around New York City. We haven't toured outside of that, but we've done a lot of shows locally, and feedback so far, after 3 years doing it, has been very, very positive. And with every show, whenever we do it these days, we don't do it as often as we used to, but we're trying to pick up the pace. But we always have a really good crowd and a really good turnout.
So have you guys done any opening for more of the bigger national bands at all, or regional bands, or?
We tried. In fact, we haven't done that yet, but we tried. I'm one of those people who I like to dig deep, and I like to go online and try to find agents and representatives of whoever comes our way. Whether it's guys like Hailstorm, the big act.
Oh, that's big though.
Or somebody like Dorothy.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I actually once reached out to Dorothy's agents, and we tried to open for them at this little venue called Mercury Lounge in the city in Manhattan. We unfortunately didn't. We weren't put on the bill because they had already found someone at the time. But the agent said that they would definitely keep us in mind moving forward.
That's very cool. A lot of times, the venues are the ones who pick the bands.
Right.
It's not always the band, and a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of times it's the venue that picks the bands, not the bands themselves. So it's kind of a crapshoot sometimes.
Yeah, the band would not even know about you, and we've done this sort of research, sort of on the back end, trying to get to them, and you don't get the chance to say hello.
Well, that sucks. We'll have to work on that then. We need to get you out there to more people.
Hey, we're hopeful.
So how much, other than the music that you sent me that I'm going to spin, do you only have like one album? Do you have more than that, or?
So we don't think in terms of albums just yet. What we found is that it's not the most practical way to go about it. In fact, we actually released our first EP about a year and a half ago.
Uh-huh.
Which, there's 5 songs on that. And what we found was that it's a lot easier these days, and the way that the industry has sort of evolved from, releasing the whole thing to the public. Now people are, they buy the concept of a single a lot easier and better.
Yeah.
Than if you were to just dump, a whole bunch of music on them, right away.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what we're trying to focus on right now. We're just trying to do it kind of single by single. Get something going online, get some kind of a vibe, some kind of feedback, and then once people start asking for more, then the idea is to release, something like an album.
Yeah, there's a method to the madness, I promise. There really is. There's a method to the madness.
Yep.
All right, so since you guys have played out a bunch, we're going to do some weird questions. I think people got to know you pretty good by now. As a band, what is the weirdest thing that a fan has ever said or done?
Well, it's probably going to be a cliche thing to say, and there just seems to be some kind of a pattern for so many years, in terms of the things that, fans do.
Uh-huh.
I did have to sign boobs once.
Oh, that was probably fun.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun thing to do, and I'm like, check, now I'm one of those people who've done that, so that was...
Oh, that's all right. But nothing weirder than boobs? Boobs are all right. I have some, so, they make me happy.
I think it's a cool thing. I don't know about weird necessarily, but, that's probably as far as that has gotten for us.
All right, well, we need to get you out to more people that can do weird things then. because I have heard some very weird things. Which is why I asked those questions, because...
No, I can only imagine.
Okay, so where do you see yourself in the next year or two? What are your goals? Other than, quit your day job and be able to tour.
So we're actually trying to release... The next big release is definitely going to be either an EP or an album, but we want for that to be a concept album, so we want to have a theme that kind of continues living throughout within each and every song. Similar to, for example, if we are to reference some artists here, My Chemical Romance.
Cool.
That ceased to exist some time ago, but
they were awesome, though.
They were awesome, and actually, in fact, that they were probably one of those reasons that, why we got the inspiration for this band. It's because of the concept album Black Parade that they came out with, and it was just so cool because they were telling a story throughout the whole experience, and it was, it was very emotional, and it was happy, it was sad, it was just mind-blowing, it was energetic, it was depressing. But there was this common theme that was kind of happening in each of the songs. That's sort of the idea for what's going to happen next. And beyond that, obviously we're going to continue trying to fight the good fight and find some support and, potentially a label that we can work with, etc.
So, do you, other than My Chemical Romance, do you have any favorite bands, like older bands? Have you ever... since you seem to be really in the, especially for the next album type of thing, in the realm of looking up concept, doing a concept album, have you checked out bands like Queensryche? They did an amazing one. Pink Floyd back in the day. Bands like that?
We are, well, I wouldn't speak for the whole band. I would say that, if when they hear it, they're going to be like, why did you say that? But yeah, myself, I'm a huge fan of Queen. Huge fan of Led Zeppelin. Basically, anyone who has a really strong vocalist, coming from the man who holds the mic. So yeah, Queen definitely, 100%. Led Zeppelin, just because, I mean,
Well,
the voice. The voice.
nobody's Robert Plant. Nobody will ever be Robert Plant.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, from sort of more classic acts, I'm a huge fan of Motley Crue as well. Not as much for the, and forgive me for saying it, but the vocals and sort of the intricacies of their music, so to speak, but just for the vibes that they brought to the game, for everything that they did, for the again that they used to be able to pull off, lifestyle-wise and on-stage-wise. So
lifestyle-wise, there wasn't very many people that did it better besides maybe Poison.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Those are the sort of the basics. But all of those guys.
Well, that's very cool. So, do you guys have favorite bands besides My Chemical Romance, though, as far as newer acts or anything that you kind of?
We're kind of split between somewhat overlapping but kind of different camps. I'm a huge fan of sort of more modern sound these days. I like what Muse is doing. You know, with every release that they put out there, you know, they try to create something new each time, and they kind of get a lot of crap for it from the former fans, because it's like, well, you're no longer that. But you know, artists develop and they change over time, and you know, I think it's a cool thing what they're doing, and they're still trying to kind of stay close to their core.
Well, because as you live your life, things change.
Exactly.
So the music changes to some extent.
Absolutely. So Muse would be one of those bands. Actually, through Muse, I went to their concert. They were doing a gig at Madison Square Garden a couple of years ago, and this little band called Biffy Clyro, little at that time, or not as well known in the U.S. as they are in Europe. They were opening for them, and they were just phenomenal. They blew my mind. They combined all of the epicness, like all of those cool elements, you know, musical elements that Muse has, but they like took it to the next level, and they're actually heavier, at least today, than Muse. So they are just phenomenal. I follow them ever since.
Even bands are fans.
Of course, absolutely.
Well, as long as you know, I think bands. I often wonder, you know, what they think of up and coming bands, like aspiring or being big fans themselves. But I'm assuming that because all bands seem to be fans of other bands.
It's an interesting question, actually, and I think, you know, it's funny that you asked that. There's definitely a bit of a competitive spirit going on. You know, in fact, sometimes I actually avoid going to see certain bands that are, you know, maybe at a similar level that we are, but you know, they're doing better, or they're doing it differently by going a different route. They have different values, and they're doing it differently, and they're a little bit more successful than we are. There's a little bit of that in the background also, but again, at the end of the day, talent is talent, and you can't just close your eyes on it, and you can't call something bullshit when it's, you know, true talent. You're probably gonna hate yourself for saying that afterwards. Yeah, it's always about recognizing the good thing and sort of, you know, saying it like it is. Like, if it's good, it's good.
Yeah, they don't like certain bands like Nickelback or Five Finger Death Punch or whatever, and a lot of times I think it's just a jealousy thing. Like, damn you.
It's a troll thing that there's the whole meme generation that lives on the internet that talks about bands like Nickelback.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's a movement.
Yeah, I don't understand that movement. Music is music, and there's plenty of fans to go around.
100%, and you know that sort of competitive spirit that's what really drives people to succeed.
Well, competitive is great, but you don't have to necessarily diss somebody else to be competitive, though.
Absolutely.
appreciate your time very, very much. I am going to spin some music from you.
Not at all. I'm again happy to be here and happy to talk to you.